It's Friday, February 28th, 2025. It's Economic Blackout Day. Don't spend any money day. Um, I won't be making any purchases. I'll keep my credit cards in my wallet, but I will be going to happy hour at a nice locally owned establishment, and I'll pay cash. Um, because I'm not going to miss out on a happy hour. Anyway, so we have a lot to catch up on the View. Because I watched, but at odd times, and it didn't make any sense. So let's go through a quick recap of the week because Wednesday's show was particularly interesting. It was the hot topic on the outset was immigration, and I don't know where the hell Amy Alyssa Farrell Griffin gets her information and has the audacity to say well, Trump fixed the southern border, and she spews out some statistics that only a few hundred people have tried to cross in the last month, as opposed to thousands, in the months prior. If that is an actual statistic, if that is correct, and there are other factors clearly involved in that, you don't have thousands of people migrating and then all of a sudden stop. Um, that just doesn't make any sense. Like in a vacuum. So I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I don't care to look into it. I think the whole crisis at the southern border is a manufactured crisis, mostly caused by Trump when he pulled all of the resources from the border that were processing people, and then I don't know why Biden ever put them back. And I know that was part of the deal for the infrastructure package, the bipart, not infrastructure, the immigration package that they were trying to pass that Trump had killed before the election. So I don't know, but it's a weird statement to be giddy about that Trump fixed the border. She's so like excited when she can point to some sort of win that Trump is having, like he's some sort of legislative genius. He hasn't passed any legislation yet. It's all executive order, and they're all challenged in the courts. So I she's a weird sycophant. But the best part of the whole show was Sunny trying to get her point across. Alyssa keeps interrupting, and Sunny snaps at her. Can I finish talking? Then Alyssa does it to Whoopi, and Whoopi's like, now can I finish talking? And then has to do this whole apology thing when they come back from break about, the thing about this show is, and she admitted they only have 37 minutes. I pointed that out before. That show is only 37 minutes of content. And, sometimes we're all passionate. We're all trying to get things out. And so we get like this and like basically making an excuse for Alyssa, which is the same kind of thing she used to have to do for our dear friend Meghan McCain. When Meghan would get all pouty and bitchy and not let a topic go. So it's interesting how Alyssa is sort of devolving into this whole thing, into this whole, you know, sort of bully girl on the around the table. So anyway, I love that they have sort of had to smack her down, and she said, "Yeah, I know interrupting people is something I'm really trying to work on." Oh my God, how rude! Um, try harder, Alyssa. Try harder, because interrupting people is not a really particularly fun trait to have, specifically in a friend or a colleague. Um, anyway, so then Thursday they talked about that fucking cabinet meeting that Elon Musk came to as like a special guest star, wore a fucking trucker hat, a black "Make America Great Again" trucker hat in the White House, stood up the whole time like they couldn't afford a chair. It was very bizarre. Um, Lied through his teeth through the whole thing, um, and, and monopolized it. At one point, Trump said to him, Elon, does the cabinet get to talk at any point?" Um, and then Trump also said, "Everybody loves Elon, right? And if you don't, well, then you're gone." Like, it's such bullshit. Um, and what's her name? Sarah tried to make the point about. Oh, I guess it was Whoopi started first to talk about JFK Jr., RFK Jr., and then Sarah tried to make a point about measles and vaccines. But another one, RFK said not one thing that was true, not one thing that was correct. He got the whole thing wrong. Um, and then Sarah was talking about, the vaccine denying and that it was politicized. And I seem to recall, and I don't know if Whoopi was around back then or not. Um, The View used to have a co-host, Jenny McCarthy, who was a vaccine denier, saying that vaccines caused autism and propagating that whole lie. And I don't know if she did it on the show or not. She didn't last very long. Um, but if you want to put people in the running for the absolute worst hosts on The View, we all know our dear Princess Meghan McCain, I think, holds the top spot. But maybe Jenny McCarthy comes real close because she said some real dumb stuff and proliferated misinformation. So Sarah, when you're talking about the politicization and the misinformation about vaccines, don't forget the role your own show played in that. Um, but anyway, um, that was, I mean, then for Alyssa to say cabinet meetings don't mean anything, they should. Um, that should be a briefing for everybody in the cabinet to get an understanding of what's going on. Um, but if they don't mean anything, why are they having them? And I don't understand why the press is there. Like most of that meeting, they shouldn't have the press in there. Um, like the press isn't there for the security briefings. Although last time Trump didn't even take his security briefings. He wouldn't even read the security briefings because he can't read and he didn't care. Um, and what's the point of even having a discussion about the Department of Education when we just want to get rid of it anyway? I don't know. I mean, maybe in the Trump White House, cabinet meetings don't mean anything. But in a regular situation, it shouldn't just be a bunch of butt sniffers saying yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. You're doing great, sir. So I don't know. Alyssa's only experience has been in the butt sniffing arena of a White House. And then today, I don't really know why we're talking about Monica Lewinsky again. Um, and I do think it's a little disingenuous of her to say he should have resigned. Um, but I do get the sort of the reframing of if you look at it with a different lens, sort of post Me Too and all of that. She did get shafted, but if you were paying attention then, in whatever it was, 98 ish, is that somewhere around there? You knew she was getting shafted then. Um, I was real pissed at her for holding on to that blue dress, but Linda Tripp didn't do her any favors. And the whole affair started because there was nobody around because the government was shut down by the fucking Republicans. Um, it's probably not the greatest idea to have an affair with your boss at your workplace. But that one in particular, that just showed really poor judgment on her part. She's 22. Yeah, she's young, but she's an adult. Um, yes, he is, seemingly the most powerful person in the world. And yes, he totally fucked her over. Um, and her life was made miserable. But that's I don't think we can say that she is without blame in the situation. It is a shared blame. Did she deserve what happened to her? No. Um, and thanks, Linda Tripp. She can rot in hell. Um, and you know, I don't think there really is any pretense that we don't know that Bill Clinton is a um, serial womanizer, probably on the Epstein list, and most likely belongs in jail, but won't go there or won't end up there. I think I don't think anybody's under any illusion that that's not who Bill Clinton at least was. Um, so and we certainly knew at the time, we weren't kidding ourselves. When all those allegations came out, even during the campaign, we're electing some guy who has affairs. We knew that. Um, but when you think about it now, what his crime was, which was lying about a sexual encounter. And to be honest, and I said this at the time, I don't care if he's fucking a goat behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office, as long as he's getting the job done. I really don't fucking care. Um, but now we probably have a guy who might actually be, well, I don't know. Um, Elon looks like he would. Anyway, but if we're looking at, if we're talking about, like, let's look at that in a different lens. We're talking about a guy who lied about a sexual relationship with an intern at work, versus a guy who's lies about every fucking thing imaginable, and is trying to dismantle our democracy. And the alarms that were going off during the Clinton Lewinsky scandal and the daily barrage of crap, and versus today, where it's like it's just getting reported, as basic news. Um, one more freedom is gone, and fucking JB Pritzker, he's a very effective governor. I like his positions, but for him to say that we have very little to combat because Trump sits behind the biggest bully pulpit in the world, that doesn't mean you don't go get a megaphone and try to drown it out. Like, you don't just sit back and let him have the pulpit. And there's all these establishment Democrats are just saying, not much we can do. Oh dear. Are missing the moment so hard. And it's like one after another, they keep doing it. And fucking Schumer announces that apparently there's a State of the Union on Tuesday, which I do think all of the Democrats should skip, which would make for a really great designated survivor moment. Shh, shh. Um, but the response is going to be Elise Slotkin. Like, come on, because she's a rising star. No, have Jasmine Crockett, have AOC, have Maxwell Frost, have Chris Murphy, have somebody who's got some life to them. Provide the response. So fucking disappointing. Um. Anyway, uh, that's this week in the View. Now there's work to do, ice to unjam from the sidewalk, and a happy hour to get to.